Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the DFS Report. It is Friday. We made it to Friday. It is April the 4th. Happy April the 4th. Happy Friday. Happy start to the weekend. Cheers to everybody out there. Luckily, it's Friday because we have a gross 3-game slate that's, we'll have to break down because we're here, but not a fun-looking slate, to be honest with you. Not a lot of routes to go, I don't really think, but we'll break it down. We'll give you the best options here. Hopefully, we can win some money. Somebody's got to take down these big contests, so might as well be us. Why not, right? Okay, before we get into today's slate, just want to let you know that it is Friday, which means we will be giving away a $50 gift card to nationgear.ca. You can pick up some DFO swag. With that, all you got to do during today's show is drop a comment in the live chat throughout the show, and we will raffle it off at the end. So, chance to get a $50 gift card. All you got to do is raffle it, or comment, and we will be entered into the raffle. We also have to give away a $25 gift card to nationgear.ca from last Friday. Ryan Donato scored a hat trick. So if you're new to the show, we do a hat trick pick challenge every day at the end of the show. All you got to do is drop your hat trick pick in the comment section of the video on YouTube. And if your player scores a hat trick, we get you a $25 gift card to nationgear.ca. If somebody scores a hat trick that nobody picks, we raffle it off to anybody who submitted a pick. So last Friday, we had, 7, 8 entries. So we'll raffle it off today. And our $25 gift card winner today is, oh my God, this guy won last Friday too. Peter B again, just racking up the Nation Gear gift card. So congratulations, Peter B, yet again, second Friday in a row. Good for him. It's that easy. I mean, when there's only 8 people dropping hat trick picks, it's pretty easy to get your name selected. So congratulations, Peter B. Again, reach out to me. I've already got your information, but we'll get you into another gift card to Nation Gear. So Zach, welcome in. Let's get into tonight's slate. You ready for this one?
Let's dive in, buddy.
All right, we will start with the goalies. We had basically every single one of these guys confirmed or likely by about 10:50, I guess, this morning. So it was a really nice day here at Daily Faceoff. But Charlie Lindgren gets the nod for the Washington Capitals. Logan Thompson is going to miss a little bit of time. Hunter Shepard comes up to serve as the backup. Spencer Knight gets the start for the Chicago Blackhawks. Cam Talbot for the Detroit Red Wings as they face the Carolina Hurricanes, who they haven't beat in like 20 years, I don't think. And then it's Ilya Sorokin likely to get the start for the Islanders. It'll be Philip Gustafsson for the Minnesota Wild. Looked like Gustafsson was going to face like 50 shots the other night, and he tends to have those performances from time to time, and we'll see. He's going to be pretty popular again tonight. Let's start with the Washington Capitals and Chicago Blackhawks. The Capitals are the largest favorites by a wide margin tonight, 4.2 implied total as well against the Blackhawks, who are plus 309 road underdogs. Alex Ovechkin is 3 goals away from the all-time record. Wouldn't it be something if he could score a hat trick on home ice tonight? I mean, no better matchup really than the Chicago Blackhawks to do it. It was plus 1,700 this morning. I put a couple shekels down on an Ovechkin hat trick tonight just for fun, because it would be exciting to see him get it done in that way. But I'm assuming I'm not alone in saying, like, I don't want him to break it on an empty netter. Like, I hope he breaks it on like a vintage, like, power play in his office onesie bomb. Like, I don't want to see him out there with another empty netter. I want it to be exciting. I'm assuming you feel the same about that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Let's see him score this goal like he scored so many throughout his career. I mean, it's been unbelievable that, like, he's been able to score so many from that spot. Just really impressive what he's been able to do here, and especially this season, right? I mean, at his age, the way that he's producing right now, it's pretty wild to see. So yeah, it would be a pretty cool night, to say the least, if he was able to do it here on home ice.
Literally broke his leg this year and just is like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, we'll still break the record this year. It's fine. Shout out Shannon Brown. What's up, fellas? It's my birthday. Ready to win some money today. Happy birthday, Shannon. He really enjoys April 4th. So happy birthday, Shannon. Let's get in here tonight. Let's get the matchups first here with the Capitals and the Blackhawks. I mean, if there was ever a night for Ovechkin to score a hat trick and set the all-time record, it is tonight. He's got the number 100% matchup score for the Ovechkin line tonight. They also, maybe not the best power play matchup, but the Blackhawks penalty kill, not great, 20th over the last 10. But number 1 power play, or 5v5 matchup on the slate tonight. They're going to see about 55% of their ice time against the Connor Bedard line, which has struggled really badly this year. This whole Blackhawks team is really bad defensively. Oh, I don't know. I must have made a mistake here. The second and third lines have the exact same numbers, unless that's just magic. But either way, the Ovechkin line, ridiculously good matchup here. And, the underlying metrics for them have been solid, maybe not outstanding, but they're still scoring at 4.2 goals for per 60. And Ovechkin has just been firing everything, as you might imagine. 30 shots over his last 10 games, so 3.0 shots per game. He's got 6 goals, 7 assists in that span, 13 points. Really, really good matchup here. I like the Ovechkin line quite a bit tonight. We talk about it a lot, like with the lines the way they are right now. They don't grade out quite as well as they normally do, but you've got Wilson, you've got Strome, you've got Dubois and Ovechkin together all in that top power play unit as well. I would say that Washington 1 would certainly be my preferred target from the Capitals tonight, but they are the most expensive line on the slate. They are the highest owned line on the slate, but obviously a really, really good spot. So I'm assuming you're going to get to a lot of Washington 1 tonight. Do you feel like you're going to get to Washington 2 as well? Like, I found myself playing quite a bit of Ryan Leonard tonight because there's not a lot of value this evening at $2,700. Third game in the NHL, obviously a very highly touted prospect, and in their last game didn't get on the score sheet, but the Capitals coaching staff said he was literally their best player on the ice that night. So I think points are bound to come his way here in the near future. Obviously playing on a pretty good line on that second line with Protas and Strome. So how much Washington 1 are you getting to, and then are you dabbling in Washington 2 here as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm pretty tempted to just load up here on Washington 1 tonight. Go for the big vibes here in this game, with Alex Ovechkin and everything that's going on with him right now. It's a bit of a tough slate, I think, like just from, when you look at it as a whole here, the 100% matchup score for this top line is obviously quite appetizing. We've seen what Ovechkin's been doing as of late. His floor's been tremendous. His ceiling has been great as of late too. I think this is just a great spot to load up on this top line. I think that's kind of the way that I'm looking at it here. I mean, last night we saw the 100% matchup score like go bonkers for Edmonton 3 against the San Jose Sharks last night. Jeff Skinner had a goal. Connor Brown had a goal as well. It looks like just a great spot here. I mean, I don't really want to be under the field here on Washington 1. I mean, they're coming in at a staggering 34% ownership here, but like you can understand why. I mean, there's so much hype around Ovechkin, coming in with like 43% ownership on this slate alone. It seems like a spot to me where I'm just going to munch the chalk just for the hell of it. I think that's kind of the way that I'm looking at this here. I think Washington 2 is obviously a really interesting pivot option here too. The matchup is great for them as well. I mean, it's great for all of the Washington lines in this game here tonight. Shocker. Deep tournaments, I think Washington 2 is definitely a fine play, definitely a way to get yourself different from the field here. The salary savings that you're getting here is like massive, right? $19,800 to full stack Washington 1, just $13,800 to full stack Washington 2. I'm going to be getting there a little bit with this Washington 2 line for sure. Protas has still been chugging along this season. Dylan Strome has still been productive as of late. The problem is, I should say, with this second line is there's just not really much of a floor right now, and I think that's kind of the concern for me. But you know what? At the end of the day, like this just seems like such a great spot for Washington. They're playing so well as of late, and again, Chicago, they're just an absolute mess right now.
Yeah, so I was able to fix the charts here a little bit with Washington or Chicago 2 and 3, and the metrics are a little bit different, but I mean these are staggeringly close together. So really doesn't change anything for the charts. I will clean it up after the show for the main charts, but realistically isn't going to change, I don't think, a single thing because the numbers are nearly identical, but they're just not actually identical. But yeah, I agree with you. Like it's so much fun with Ovechkin right now that I'm going to probably be munching that chalk as well. And when you look at it, like it just feels like you kind of have to play them. Like it doesn't seem like there's that many good spots on the slate. Like Chicago, not really in a good spot. Detroit literally never scores against Carolina. The Minnesota offense is kind of hit or miss. It feels like Carolina and Washington, as chalky as they are, really feel like the two plays that you want to try to focus on. Like the charts aren't always chalky, but they are tonight. The top 3 lines are the 3 highest owned lines. So today's show, I think, is going to be a little bit hard to get off some of that chalk. And, I think one way to do it is fading the Islanders and playing Philip Gustafson, but even he's kind of popular. But the Islanders coming in with a lot of ownership. So, you're going to have to try to find ways to get a little bit funky. Like obviously you can't full stack Washington 1 and Carolina 1 together. It'd be very difficult to do so at least. So you'll have to find ways to find some other value that's lower owned, because these top plays are the top plays for a reason, and they all do feel pretty good. And we've seen Chalk obviously smash a lot recently. Nick Suzuki comes to mind last night, obviously in a great spot. So yeah, going to be getting a lot of Washington in the lineup tonight. I do like Washington too a lot. I like them as a decent pivot. They don't have the best floor, but like you still got Strome on that top power play unit. Leonard, really talented young player, just 2,700. Protas, we know, has had a really good year. The Blackhawks, I think it's tough, right? I mean, this team is just not scoring whatsoever at 5v5 right now. Not really scoring much on the power play, not really generating any very good looks on the power play either. The Capitals have been outstanding defensively. Obviously, Charlie Lindgren struggled a little bit between the pipes this year, so I imagine Chicago probably pots a goal, maybe 2 tonight, but I think they're going to be really hard to rely on this evening. And like top line, really not that cheap, right? Like Donato's still 6K, Bedard 6,100. Mikhaiev's been red hot at 4,800, but like they're not cheap enough for me to be all that interested in tonight. The matchup obviously really bad. That Ovechkin line with Dubois and Wilson, maybe their offensive numbers are a little bit worse, but their defensive metrics are way better. And this entire top 9 for the Capitals grids out really well defensively. Not really good offensive metrics, obviously, from the Blackhawks either. The power play does grade out as the third best tonight, but realistically, it's only because the Capitals' penalty kill has struggled, and the Blackhawks' power play has been pretty anemic. So I think that the Blackhawks, the way I'm going to target them, and I'm assuming you feel similar because you've been doing a lot of it recently, is through the defenseman. I think there's a lot of value on the Blackhawks blue line. Sam Rinzel is a guy that I really like. The shot volume has been insane. He's 13 shot attempts in 2 games. You talked about Connor Murphy the other night. He absolutely smashed. Levshunov's still really cheap. Vlasic's still really cheap. Like those are the guys that I'll probably mix in from the Blackhawks, but like full stacking their lines in the limited lineups that I'm building tonight is probably not a priority for me. How about you?
Yeah, I agree with you here. I think it's going to be pretty tough to, again, make sure you drop a comment in the live chat, folks. I think they're an interesting option here. Like Ryan Donato has been really finding his way back to what he was a little bit ago in terms of the offense. I mean, his floor over the last 10 games has been really solid. He's been cashing a great ceiling here as well, averaging 12.8 DraftKings points per game over his last 10. 1.6 goals per hour over his last 20 games, 3.5 points, 7.1 shots on goal. I think they're an interesting play. I kind of really do. And I'm not expecting a massive game or anything like that. But, Charlie Lindgren has struggled as of late. 2-2 in his last 5 starts. He's allowed 13 goals against in them with an 890 save percentage. So 2.5 goals against per game. I mean, I look at this Chicago lineup and it's like, well, that offense is probably going to be coming through that top line, despite a really difficult matchup here. Donato, 3 goals, 5 points in 9 games played going up against the Capitals in his career. Connor Bedard, 2 assists in 3 games. And Ilya Mikheyev, 5 goals and 9 points in 9 games played. Like, I think I can get there in a deep field tournament here, throwing a little bit of a dart on these guys. I don't hate that idea. I don't feel the greatest about it, but I think they're a pretty interesting play in some of these big field tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, they're super low owned. So I agree with you there. And if you take a look at their the DraftKings points over the last 10 games, I'll pull it up here. I mean, obviously that line is just doing all of the lifting for the Blackhawks. 12.8 for Donato, 8.8 for Mikheyev, and then Connor Bedard at 7.8. Pretty decent floors for all of them as well. So yeah, I don't mind it. I'm not building a lot of lineups tonight, so I don't think I'm going to get to a ton of it, but low owned tournament play I think is fine because Lindgren basically gives up 2 or 3 goals every game, like at minimum, regardless and like of how good the Capitals have been defensively for the majority of this season. Any final thoughts on this game before we get to Detroit, Carolina?
No, let's move it along.
Eric wants to know, does Ovi break the record tonight with a Hattie? If you missed the start of the show, I did bet on it. I think it was plus 1,700 this morning. Obviously, like I don't bet on hat tricks very often, but tonight feels like if it was ever going to happen, tonight is the night. And just a heads up, I won yesterday's head-to-head, so I get to pick my hat trick pick first. I think you know where I'm going, Zach. Also, Diego says Brock with the Coleman Guru pick last night. LOL. Yeah, I mean that play just absolutely smashed. He basically made my night last night. Blake Coleman, he's had some kind of legacy performances for us over the in the past, and last night was certainly one of them. Okay, Detroit hosts the Hurricanes tonight. They are plus 165 home underdogs. They face the Hurricanes, who are minus 185, 3.4 implied total. Matchup for Detroit 1, horrific. Matchup for Detroit 2, horrific. I don't know how you play this Red Wings team tonight. Like me and my buddy, both Red Wings fans, we talked about it. Like if the Red Wings played a 10-game series against the Hurricanes, I'm not sure they win but one game. It's just they cannot beat this team, and it's going on years and years. They've lost 2-1 and 4-2 this year. I would imagine that their struggles continue tonight. The underlying metrics here, or the matchup scores, are awful. The power play matchup, awful. Like, the Red Wings have been so reliant on their power play this year. It's been awesome. It's been what they've needed to stay in games and win games, but the Hurricanes penalty kill is as good as it gets in the league. So I honestly don't think I'm going to get to much Detroit tonight. The top line grades out 12th best out of 24 at 19,300. They're seeing a lot of ownership. I'm pretty comfortable to just stay away and play a lot of Kochetkov tonight. I hope I'm wrong as a Red Wings fan, and hoping this team can still somehow find a way to claw their way into the playoffs. Hopefully they pull it out tonight, but from a DFS standpoint, I just don't think they're a very good play right now. And like, yeah, that top line seeing some ownership, 19,300. The issue is that when they've put DeBrincat, Larkin, and Kane together, it hasn't worked. I don't know why they're still doing this. Like, Casper, Kane, and DeBrincat was an unbelievable line. Why you would break that up, I have no idea. Larkin and Raymond have found success. They've had a hard time finding a winger to kind of round out that trio. Shocking. Maybe we probably could have found one at the trade deadline. I don't know. But I think I'm turning this into a bit of a Detroit Red Wings podcast, and that's not the point of it. I'm just not playing them. They don't score against the team. I don't think that's going to change tonight. As a non-Red Wings fan, do you have any different? Like, are you playing them?
I mean, I think it's interesting to see this top line kind of loaded up the way that they are. But I mean, in the same breath, like you said, like, the numbers are just not great whatsoever. You know, the things they have going for them, they're going to play a shitload, and the power play has been good for the Red Wings as of late, but it's a brutal matchup here. You know, I mean, I guess the saving grace is the Hurricanes have been shorthanded 3 times per game over their last 10, but you also kind of wonder how much of that is influenced by that Capitals game the other night, right? Like, it was just an absolute penalty-filled nightmare there. So I don't really have any interest getting to this Detroit side of things, because, like, at the end of the day, like, think of it like this, right? Would you rather pay $19,300 for Detroit 1 or pay $500 more for Washington 1? It's kind of a no-brainer to me. Like, it's Washington 1, right? And I think that's a reason why I'm comfortable eating that chalk here and kind of fading this Detroit side of things. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and so be it. I'll eat that for sure. But it seems like an absolutely brutal spot here for the Detroit Red Wings tonight. I can't really make sense of this 15% ownership that's coming in on them. I mean, I guess it is a 3-game slate at the end of the day. They are the top line, so it's going to happen. But yeah, it feels pretty ugly here for Detroit.
Yeah, it's not like they're cheap. If they were low owned, I'd be like, okay, yeah, maybe I'll take a chance. But because they're seeing like 20%, almost 15%, not for me. On top of our Coleman pick last night, we also had the Jack Thompson punt pick last night. He's just been so good. And yeah, we had a lot of them last night. So appreciated him as well. Do we play Spencer Knight tonight? So that's a way to get different. I mean, that is certainly a way to get different. It has not really worked very well. I mean, he showed up okay against the Avs the other night, but his projection tonight, I think, is the lowest of any goalie I've seen this year, 3. So I think I'm probably going to stay away, but it's definitely a way to get different if you're trying to just, if you're trying to fade the what's this team that they're playing? The Capitals. This thing's a mess. I don't know what's going on here. If you want to fade the Capitals, like, I think, in deep tournaments you can try it, but I don't know how much success you're going to have. A 3 projection is, that's as low as it gets compared to like Leon's projection last night. Okay, on the Hurricane side of things, better matchup for the second line than the first line, but we've talked about this first line a lot lately. Unbelievable offensive metrics, just simply outstanding. Jackson Blake starting to find the back of the net again. The dam is broken, and the way he shoots the puck, I think that he'll likely continue to score goals. The thing is, with the Hurricanes tonight, you've got the top line fully correlating on this top power play unit. And we know that the Red Wings are just horrific on the penalty kill. So Carolina 1, probably my favorite line on the entire slate. They fully correlate on this top power play unit. They have a good enough 5v5 matchup. Their underlying metrics at 5v5 are unbelievable. So yeah, I like getting to Carolina 1 a lot. I still think Hall is a strong play. I don't know how much I'm going to full stack this second line of Robinson, Roslovic, and Hall, but they do have the best matchup overall. They're going to see mostly the bottom 6 for the Detroit Red Wings. The fourth line really struggles defensively. the second line for the Hurricanes grades out 8th. They are super cheap. They are not seeing much ownership, specifically Eric Robinson, under 1% owned. So, like, I do think that they're interesting to mix in here at 11,800, seeing very little ownership. I think that maybe they've got a little bit more offensive upside than this third line, but the third line grades out a little bit better. Their offensive metrics are a little bit better. I know you prefer the third line, but I think Carolina 2 is a real interesting way to get different tonight, because I think that they can have success, especially with Hall in that top power play unit. If Robinson and Roslovic can connect for one goal tonight, they could be an optimal play. So I'm going to mix them in. I'll probably mix in Carolina 3 a little bit, but Carolina 1 is by far and away my favorite line on the slate. They grade out number 1 on the charts as well, and they are among the chalk, but they are significantly lower owned than Washington and Islanders 1. So I like Carolina 1 a ton tonight. That power play correlation is really what drives it home. As I mentioned, 7th best power play over their last 10, going up against the 31st ranked PK. They've basically been like 30th, 31st, or 32nd the entire season. So I'm all in on Carolina 1 tonight. How about you?
Yeah, I think they're really interesting here on this slate. You talk about Jackson Blake starting to heat up here. That's great to see. Aho and Jarvis, they're still chugging along, providing really solid floors on a pretty consistent basis here. One thing that I think is kind of worth mentioning just from this game as a whole, 2 games so far between these two teams this season. Carolina has won both of them, outscoring Detroit 6-3. If you go back the last 3 years, so back to the beginning of the 22-23 season, Carolina has gone 7-1 against the Detroit Red Wings, outscoring them just 23-10. It's not like these games have been very high scoring or anything like that. So, I think what you're kind of hoping for in playing this Carolina side of things is that they get 1 or 2 of the goals or the 3 goals that they might score here tonight. Just based on the past track record, it kind of seems like this could be another one of those lower scoring type of games here. It's not a really high pace score or anything like that. 95.1, kind of moderate if we were looking at it on a much bigger slate. So that's kind of the way that I'm looking at this game. Lots of interest in Carolina 1. And I think that second and third line offers some interesting salary relief when you're building lineups with some of these more expensive lines. You can make them fit with the lines like Washington 1, the Islanders top line as well, Minnesota 1. Some interesting options here to say the least. So I know for me, some of my Washington builds are definitely going to have some of the second and third line of the Carolina Hurricanes tonight.
Yeah. The one thing I take away from the past games between Carolina and Detroit is just that Detroit really hasn't scored. Carolina's had some success, but Detroit, man, like, it's the 10 goals over 3 years is insane. Like, that's pathetic. So they just cannot score against this team. Game number 3, the Islanders and the Wild. Final game of the night. The Islanders are minus 120 home phase, 3.0 implied total for them. Actually, I just want to take a look at the team trend chart here. I don't think I did for this Detroit game, really. As you mentioned, the Hurricanes just absolutely dominant at 5v5, both offensively and defensively. Penalty kill's been insane. Power play's been solid. Like, this team is just firing on all cylinders. The Red Wings, meanwhile, still maybe a little bit snake bitten at 5v5, but really struggling to defend and definitely struggling on the PK. Now, 3.0 implied total for the Islanders, 2.7 implied total for the Wild. In terms of the team trend for them, I keep clicking on the wrong thing. The Minnesota Wild still not doing anything offensively. Both teams moderately decent defensively. The Islanders have been pretty decent offensively as of late, 2.73 goals. Expected goals for per 60 is the 3rd highest mark on the slate. Both teams on the penalty kill have been pretty fortunate, but in terms of the power play matchups in this one, 4th and 6th best. This game is weird, man. Like, I feel like this game can go both ways, really. Obviously, Gustafsson and Sorokin, 2 pretty good goalies. The Islanders are getting so much ownership tonight at 29.5%. This top line's been great. It's really the only line that has been producing much of anything for them as of late. Let's take a look at the Islanders' numbers over their last 10 here. So you've got Dobson and D'Angelo have been leading the way, but then it's Lee, Palmieri, and Horvat's leading the way, actually, and Horvat. So this line's really been carrying the water for them for the most part over the last 10 games, in addition to Dobson, D'Angelo, and that's the full power play right there. They're just playing a lot. They're not that expensive. I can see why people are getting there. In the same breath, I have no problem getting to Gustafsson tonight. $7,600, going to be the highest on goalie tonight. But like we said, like, he's projected to see the most volume. Wouldn't be shocked if he sees 35 shots, if he makes the save bonus. So I don't mind getting to him again. I think in a lot of lineups, I'm either going to have Gustafsson or I'm going to have the Islanders, and that's probably going to be the majority of my makeups tonight, which is, I think, a little bit chalky. But again, I think there's enough get different plays on tonight's slate that I'll find ways to still differentiate those lineups a little bit. But I don't really know if I'm going to get to a lot of the other Islanders. This third line grades out really well. I don't know how. Like, we saw Pierre Engvall's name pop up here. He's been pretty good, actually. 4 goals in his last 10 games. The shot volume is pretty good as well. At $2,900, excuse me. But like, the underlying metrics for this line are surprisingly good. Now, they have like no finishers on that line, right? It's Casey Cizikas, Hudson Fasching, and Pierre Engvall, but they've been able to generate a lot of high danger looks. I think they are a very, very interesting dart throw tonight. Their matchup is obviously pretty good. They're going to see the majority, or like the most ice time against the wild fourth line of any of the Islanders line. The wild fourth line is horrific defensively. So I can't believe I'm going to say this, but at 3.8%, the Islanders' third line is probably the sneakiest play on the entire slate. I don't know how much I'm going to get there in like a super deep tournament. Like, I might jam in as much Carolina and Washington chalk as possible, and then stack this Islanders third line in some capacity, like probably Cizikas, Engvall, maybe Fasching, Engvall, whatever the case may be. They're sneaky. The charts like them. I'm going to trust the process here at $8,000. I'm going to have them in at least one lineup tonight and see what happens, because the number suggests it's maybe reasonable.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're a really interesting, get super different spot here as the 6th best line on the slate to target overall. I don't necessarily feel like tremendous about that or anything like that, but they're seeing
You
like
shouldn't.
3.8
You
combined
absolutely should
ownership.
not.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you shouldn't feel great playing it, but like, if you're playing a deep field tournament, man, like, this is the kind of dart throw that can help you take down some bigger tournaments. These guys are super cheap at $8,100. Pierre Engvall's got the best floor of them over the last 10 games played here, and over his last 20 games on the season, 1.5 goals per hour of ice time, 10.2 shots on goal per hour. I mean, he's finding ways to be productive here. I think it is a little tough going up against this Minnesota Wild team. Really love to try and choke the opposition out defensively here, but their defensive metrics haven't even been like otherworldly or anything like that as of late. 2.5 goals against per hour at 5, or expected goals against per hour at 5-on-5. Their penalty kills, same sort of situation there. They're just getting bailed out by Philip Gustafsson. So, if this is one of those nights where Gustafsson, who has had some off games, over the last few months here, has an off game, there's certainly a path for this Islanders side of things. This top line, I think, is super interesting to me here tonight. Of any of the lines on the slate, they have the highest combined floor over their last 10 games played. Anders Lee has been just continuing to be an absolute volume monster here. 11.9 shots on goal per hour over his last 20 games. 1.8 individual expected goals for per hour over his last 20. He's finding ways to generate a lot of really quality looks, and I think they're a really interesting play here. I think beyond the Capitals top line, this Islanders top line might be my favorite play on the slate, and this third line again looks like they're in a really interesting spot here too. So I have no issue getting to this Islanders side of things in this game. I'll probably play a little bit of this, a little bit of Philip Gustafsson as a way to kind of get off of some of that Islanders top line chalk there, but I really like the look of this top line for the Islanders tonight.
Yeah, and on a slate with not a lot of values, Anders Lee at 5K feels like certainly one of the best value plays overall. Obviously, it's going to come with a decent chunk of ownership, but if we take a look at the raw value tonight, he's second overall on the slate. But then you've got Lee, Horvat, and Palmieri, literally all inside the top 5. So it's pretty easy to see why they're seeing ownership. They're just underpriced, and they've all played very well, and they're all seeing a lot of ice time. Palmieri over 20 minutes a night, Horvat over 21 minutes a night. So it's pretty easy to see why the public's getting there. The optos are going to love the Islanders tonight at that price point, which has been kind of the case with them a lot lately. They've been pretty chalky for a while because they're just, always around the same price tag, and they always project pretty well. Given their ice time. So they're going to be popular because the optos are going to be jamming them in tonight, but they make sense from a projection standpoint. And quite frankly, they make sense obviously from our chart standpoint. We try to do things a little bit different here with the charts and look at things the optos don't, so that we can get different, but sometimes it aligns. And that's certainly the case tonight. They grade out with, let's just break it down here. In terms of 5v5, they are second best. In terms of the power play tonight, they're fourth best. In terms of raw line projection, they are number 2. And then in terms of value, they are number 1. So by any of our 4 metrics, they're either in the top 2 or top 4. So obviously make a lot of sense. And basically, like I said, these top 3 chalk lines tonight, they all just grade out so much better than the rest of the bunch that it's easy to see why they're drawing a lot of ownership. But I think we've given you some really interesting get different plays. I think Washington 2 is not super different, but it's different enough, especially if you mix and match Washington 1 and 2 together. Don't think that's going to be super high owned. Carolina 3, same boat. New York 3, definitely no one's playing them. Have fun with that one at $8,000. But this Minnesota side of things, man, I mean, they still scored, 5 goals, 4 goals, whatever it was against Shesterkin the other night. Like, obviously, the Rangers aren't very good defensively, but I'd still just have a hard time trusting this offense. Like, the top 6 decent matchups here. The underlying metrics are really good for the top line. The second line's nothing going for them. The third line, okay. I think like it's probably Minnesota 1 or bust. It's probably mostly Rossi Boldy for me. But I don't know. Like, some of these plays have worked recently. Some of these cheap plays, right? Like Marcus Johansson's been fine. Gustav Nyquist has been fine. Freddie Gaudreau's been fine. But like, how do you trust it? Ryan Hartman's been fine. But like on a night-to-night basis, it's so hard to be like, this is the way. In terms of the floors, Matt Boldy, obviously, there's just not a lot of it's not a lot to like here, other than the price points, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the saving grace here is the price points are okay. Like, I could see myself mixing in some one-offs here of these guys. If I'm playing like an Islanders third line or something like that, like I'm okay, with Matt Boldy as kind of like a bring back option as a volume guy there. His floors has continued to be great as of late. One other thing that I'll just add about the Islanders top line before I get a little more into the Wild. Of all of the forwards on tonight's slate over their last 10 games, Anders Lee has the highest floor of any of the forwards. Bo Horvat has the 7th highest, and Kyle Palmieri has the 9th highest. So these guys have been just tremendous as of late. But Matt Boldy's right there too. Like, he's had the 2nd highest floor of any forward on this slate over their last 10 games played. So I think that there's reason to get there. Boldy, 6 games played against the Islanders in his career, 3 goals and 7 points, averaging 11.6 DraftKings points without any of the bonuses or anything like that. So this looks like a pretty good spot here as well for this Islanders top line, or the Wild top line. I don't feel the greatest about getting there, but like, again, they're not seeing a ton of ownership here either, coming in at 8.5%, and they are the 7th best line to target overall on the slate tonight. So I can see myself getting to a little bit of this Wild side of things. But again, for me, it's probably through like some one-off options that way. It's worth noting too, Ilya Sorokin, 5 games played against the Wild in his career, no wins, a 321 goals against average, and a 907 save percentage. So the past track record has not been great for Sorokin here. So I think that's just another reason to kind of get to some Boldy and maybe some of these other pieces in one-offs. I don't really feel great about full stack in the Wild side of things, but I think there's some value to be had here for sure.
Yeah, there definitely is. And, obviously the 5 forward power play makes everybody a little bit more viable there. A lot of different options you can go with Gaudreau and Nyquist, Johansson, Zuccarello, Boldy, all in that top power play. And obviously, it's not a power play that's had a lot of success, not the best power play matchup either. They're not really projected to see much power play time. The problem is, like, we've seen times where Minnesota's graded out really well in the charts, and I've trusted, again, the charts and just trusted the numbers and played them with, like, no success. So when they grade out lower, I'm just kind of gun shy with the Wild, and I don't think I'm going to get there. Like you said, with any full stacks, really, I'm not building enough lineups tonight to really, get too carried away with the Wild. Like, on a slate like this, that's this gross. Like, I'm just like, save some of my bankroll for a later day. Put a couple dart throws out tonight, but I'm certainly not getting too carried away. Probably, unfortunately, looks like I'm going to be munching a lot of chalk tonight, which is not what I like to come on here and talk about, but it's kind of the reality of it for me. These, some of these lower owned spots don't look great. So if you had to pick anybody from the Minnesota Wild beside Matt Boldy to lead the team in DraftKings points tonight, who would you pick? Putting on the spot.
Oh, man, good question. I think I'd probably have to go with Ryan Hartman just because of the floor that he's had as of late here. Like, I think he's a pretty decent option at $5,200. I don't hate the idea of Johansson or Gaudreau either. These guys have been all right as of late here too. But I think for me, the guy that I'd probably pick would be Hartman from the forward group.
Yeah, it makes sense. I like Freddie Gaudreau. Like, I think Gaudreau at least plays enough ice time too. Like, he's at least reasonable. But yeah, like full stacking this team feels so gross tonight. Let's get to the defenseman. You've been doing a pretty good job with the defenseman here the last couple days, so I'm not gonna steal your thunder. You keep rolling first here. I don't want to steal all your guys. Although I will say Scott Morrow is my guy tonight. He's my new Jack Thompson this evening. He grades out so well, and I'm like, something's wrong with my projections. And I dove into the numbers. I'm like, projections look fine. So 6.3% Scott Morrow grades out just by far and away the best value play on the blue line tonight, and somebody that looks like me and you and hopefully the viewers play a lot of with some success tonight, and the public's really not getting there at all. So he's a really interesting play for me tonight. But who else do you like?
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head here with Scott Morrow. I think this is a really, really interesting spot here for him. And like, look at this ownership. I mean, 6.10 ownership. If you want to munch chalk tonight, which I'm certainly going to be doing, playing a guy like Scott Morrow is a great way to drop that ownership in your lineup. Another guy in that similar boat, probably Sam Rizal at 3K, projecting for 7.2% ownership. Artem Lashunov still seeing some ownership, sitting around 10%. I think some of these Minnesota Wild defensemen look like some decent options here as well tonight. Jared Spurgeon grading out well at $4,500. Jake Middleton, $100 cheaper at $4,400 as well. I think these guys are interesting options. Adam Pelech is drawing some ownership here at $3,600. He seems like he could be a decent play on this slate tonight. And, I think that's kind of where I'm going to be looking in terms of the price ranges. But, like these expensive defensemen tonight aren't even that super hard to get to, with guys like Chychrun and Carlson grading out really well, Noah Dobson grading out really well too. Some solid floors and some solid ceilings from these guys as of late. So I think for me, like I'm probably going to be looking to have one of the higher priced defensemen and then punting off on one of the other defensemen in my builds here tonight.
Yeah, like I like Carlson a lot tonight. At what was it, $5,600 feels great. Highest owned defenseman on the slate, but it feels so easy to get there at that price point. Romanov provides a really good floor. Gostisbehere, I think, is a great play too at $4,600. But I just want to get to Sam Rinzel again for a second. So I brought him up after his first game, where he had 7 shot attempts in 21 or 20 minutes 15 seconds. In his second game, it went to a shootout, so obviously in overtime, but played 23 and a half minutes, had 2 more shots on goal with 6 shot attempts. So 13 shot attempts in 2 games. He's just getting everything on net. And what is he, 3K tonight? Really not seeing that much ownership. Like Morrow and Rinzel just make way too much sense to me as value options this evening. Pelech, I think, is fine. Sandin's just fine. Like I like Morrow and Rinzel a lot more than probably I should, and I'm going to have a lot of them this evening. But I agree with you. Some of these, expensive guys are pretty easy to get to. Dobson, D'Angelo, they've been red hot. Carlson, Chychrun make a lot of sense, obviously too. But yeah, if you're trying to get a little bit different, I think $2,800 defenseman that grades out with the 9th best projection on the blue line makes a lot of sense at just 6.3% ownership. So either my projections are drunk or he's just that good of a play tonight. Between the pipes, Petr Kochetkov, probably my favorite play just because he's not drawing that much ownership, also projects the best, and the Red Wings just do not score against the Hurricanes. So he's probably my favorite because he's not seeing the same level of ownership as like Gustafsson and Sorokin are. And I just trust him against the Red Wings a lot more than I trust Charlie Lindgren, who obviously, we've talked about 2 or 3 goals a game, it seemingly every single time. But after Kochetkov, it's probably in line with the projections here. Philip Gustafsson, then I'd probably get down to Sorokin as well. Cam Talbot looked great against the Blues the other night. We know that the Hurricanes just love to rack up shots, and if the Red Wings are capable of pulling one out, I would rather play Talbot than Spencer Knight this evening. So I don't mind Talbot as like my dumpster dive deep tournament play if he can get lucky this evening, but is he going to get enough goal support is really the question. But he's certainly, him and Gustafsson, I think, are the 2 most likely to get the save bonus tonight. So I'll mix them in a little bit. But again, without building a lot of lineups, I probably won't have a ton of exposure. What are your thoughts between the pipes tonight?
Yeah, I think Kochetkov looks like a really great play here at $8,100. Probably have a good chunk of him in terms of the ownership tonight. I don't know if I feel the greatest about Gustafsson and Sorokin, seeing the amount of ownership that they're getting here. Quite a bit, to be totally honest with you. And I think one interesting name as kind of a real get different pivot option here tonight is Cam Talbot at $7,300. Probably going to see a shitload of volume here tonight. His numbers against the Hurricanes have been really good throughout his career. 10 games played, 6 wins, 2 shutouts, a 217 goals against average and a 928 save percentage. Based off of what we've seen in the history of these, the last, 8 games played here, if he only lets in, 2 or 3 goals here tonight, hits that 35 save bonus, at that price point, he could be a guy who could kind of open up some options on this slate. And he's also been great as of late. Like his floor in the crease in terms of his saves and his goals against numbers, he's averaging 12.8 DraftKings points per game over his last 10 starts. So I think it's a really interesting get different spot between the pipes tonight if you want to get a little weird with it.
Yeah, get a little funky. Okay, let's get to today's hat trick pick challenge. We got a few more minutes here, so if you are just tuning in and you want a chance at winning a $50 gift card to nationgear.ca, pick up some daily Faceoff swag, drop a comment in the live chat right now. We've got 13 entries for a $50 gift card, so if you want to get it in the last minute, now's your chance while we make our hat trick picks and do our head-to-head lineup challenge. So I am going to go first because I won yesterday's head-to-head, and I am going to go with Alex Ovechkin. How about you?
Nice. I like it. Pretty easy choice there for you. I'm going to go with Seth Jarvis.
Like that. Not so much as a Red Wings fan, but from a non-biased perspective, great pick. Okay, let's get to today's daily face-off, our head-to-head lineup challenge. Now, we've been talking about it a lot lately, about what we're going to do as a punishment for the loser in our head-to-head lineup challenge, which at the moment is looking increasingly more likely that it's going to be Zach, as I take an 8-game lead on the season with very few days left. But I think we've come up with the best idea, but let us know what you guys think and if you'd be interested in seeing it. I suggested to Zach that he does the 999 challenge, which is 9 beers, 9 hot dogs in 9 innings of baseball. He's a Toronto Blue Jays fan, and the Blue Jays play at 7 p.m. Eastern on April 18th, which is the day after the NHL regular season ends and before the playoffs. So we were thinking of doing a stream with Zach doing the 999 challenge, or me if he makes a miraculous comeback, doing the 999 challenge, and we'll just talk hockey. He'll eat some dogs, we'll drink some beers. I might drink some beers with him. It's a Friday as well. And we'll talk hockey, preview the playoffs, maybe have some guests on a little bit. So if that's something that's interesting to you guys, or you think that's something Zach should do or I should do if I lose, let us know in the comments. And I think it'll be fun. I've never seen anybody do it. The videos are kind of fun, but I think you've got it in the tank, dude. Like I couldn't do it. I could do the 9 beers, no question, but the 9 dogs, I'd be in real big trouble.
Got a belly on me for a reason, folks. This is a guy right here who can drink beers and he can eat hot dogs. So I could see myself doing it for sure. I see in the chat NHL goalie props saying do it at a loony dog night. Unfortunately, I don't live in Toronto. I live in Edmonton. So that would be a little bit difficult to kind of pull that one off. I think it's a great idea. Like, I think it's pretty fun. I mean, somebody had suggested a little while ago doing like a shoey or something like that on stream. I don't hate that idea. I know, Brock, you had mentioned a pretty fun idea as well, potentially doing something like, where we have to buy the jersey of the opposing person's favorite team and get their name on the back of it. So, like, I would have to have like a Seguin Red Wings jersey, or you would have to have a Laing Oilers jersey if, somehow pigs started to fly. I think there's some interesting options out there. I kind of like this 999 challenge idea, though.
It doesn't quite break the bank, and it's a lot of fun. So if it's something that you guys would be interested in, just coming in, chatting some hockey, watching Zach get sick, it'd be fun time. So without further ado, let's get to today's daily face-off, our head-to-head lineup challenge. I went a little kind of all over the place here, but I mentioned I love Carolina 1 tonight, so I have Aho, Blake, and Jarvis together. Then I went with a bit of a different Washington stack, Dubois and Ovechkin from that top line, but Leonard as a value option. Obviously, they're not together, but I think he's just one of the best values on the slate. And speaking of the best values on the slate, I don't think it gets much better than Rinzella and Scott Morrow. So Morrow with my Carolina guys, Rinzella is my one-off, and then Kachekov between the pipes.
Nice. I like it. Wanted to get that Washington one in there for sure here tonight. So we got a Dubois, Ovechkin, Chychrun stack here. Wanted some Carolina 3. Love them on a pretty regular basis here. I originally had Jordan Martinook and Logan Stankoven here in my lineup that looked exactly like this, except I was $100 short to get this lineup completed. So had to pivot off of Martinook to Kokianemi here for the Carolina 3 stack. And then we got some of this New York Islanders top line here as well. Bo Horvat and Anders Lee. Hopefully they can get me number 39 on the year and can get one win closer to not having to do a 999.
I'm trying to think. So next week we have 5 shows, and then there's 4 shows the following week. So if you win out, you're not dead yet. Basically, you have 10 more chances to make up an 8-game difference. So you can't lose 2 more or you're done. But you're not dead yet. You need to get hot, which I have. Like, eventually I'm going to cool off. Like, it's been back and forth all year, and I have been on a roll as of late. But yeah, you're not dead yet. It's still a chance. All right, let's get to today's draw. As I mentioned, we got 13 names in the hat. Oh, wait. We have one more to add. CFL fan got in there under the gun. I think he's already won twice this year. So he shows up at the last minute to get entered into today's draw. So 14 chances here. 14 chance, I guess I should say, to win today's $50 gift card to Nation Gear. Isaac says, you're essentially dead. Eric says it could be the greatest comeback in history from Zach. So, anything's possible here. Let's see. How about this? If the Red Wings can still make the playoffs, you can still come back. Maybe pigs will start to fly. Like, maybe the Wings can come back to life and you can come back to life at the same time. We'll see what happens here. All right, let's get to today's $50 gift card giveaway. Ooh, Nick N. Congratulations, Nick. And on the way to today's $50 gift card to nationgear.ca, you can pick up some DFO swag, some good nice sweaters, nice hats there for you. So, Nick, if you are not in the DFO Discord, the link is in the description of the video on YouTube. You can join that way and message me there. If you don't want to join the Discord, reach out to me on Twitter, either at DFO Fantasy or at Brock_Seguin, and we'll get you hooked up with that gift card. So congratulations to Nick N. And that's going to do it for this edition of the DFO DFS Report. Thank you guys so much for tuning in this week. Again, just 2 more weeks left of the season, and we will be back next Monday with another edition of the DFO DFS Report. Before we go, shout out to our friends at rotogrinders.com for providing projected ownership for today's show. It's really leveled up the show this year. We really appreciate them. And if you want to get $20 off your first month of RotoGrinders Premium, you can do so by clicking the link in the description of the video on YouTube. And it doesn't have to be their NHL Premium package. It can be any of their sports. So if you want to get into MLB DFS, they've got a great product over there as well. So first month is $20 off with the link in the description of the video. Also in the description is the link to our DFO DFS Discord, as I just mentioned. If you want to join that community, we provide all the late breaking news. We talk chell all day long and help you try to build these lineups and win some cash. We've had some absolutely massive winners this year. I think 2 $30,000 winners and a $50,000 winner, if I recall correctly, with among a lot of other smaller prize winners as well. So join the Discord today, and we're going to bring you home this season. We've got channels for all the different sports too. So if you want to dabble in MLB, you want to get $20 off your first month of RotoGrinders Premium, want to chat with some of the boys about MLB because you're just getting into it, that is a great way to do it. I don't play a lot of MLB. The boys have helped me out. So come on and join the fun. Happy Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe out there. We'll see you back here on Monday. Until then, cheers.
Cheers.